Hello and welcome back, and that's right, today I want to talk about the rather thorny subject of Plex Media Server and that subscription cost. Now I'm recording this video here in Shenzhen, China, because I'm here for a few videos that I'm working on that I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about soon. But yesterday, this is the 20th of March 2025, but yesterday Plex did a news post to all of its subscriber base, basically telling them that the cost of a lifetime subscription is going to go up from $119 to $249. And before I go any further, I'm going to say it right now. I'm okay with this. This video is going to cover two main things about this. Indeed, right now, though this video should go out, I think around the 23rd of March, 2025. I will say this may be something you already heard about. The big news story, of course, being that Plex Media Server is effectively doubling the cost of its lifetime subscription. But there's actually a second caveat we're going to touch on later on with regards to remote access. But first, let's break down a little bit more about why Plex are doing this. Now, I believe it was early last year that we spoke about some of the difficulties that Plex were having with regards to financing. They let off a lot of their staff, and we're talking about kind of reorganizing their business and finding better ways to remain financially sustainable. Now, a little while after that, we saw a new price tag kind of appear online for the lifetime, and it was $249. This kind of appeared in a few places, then went away, but more importantly, it was on official sites. And a lot of people picked up on this before it suddenly disappeared. Was it site testing? And the video we made about it was ultimately us going, it looks like this, you know, the writing's on the wall, and it looks like it was true. Now, Plex hasn't raised the cost of its lifetime subscription for a decade. Now, $119 for a lifetime subscription, particularly those that got it in the early days when it was actually cheaper than that at launch, was a hell of a bargain. And indeed, it's not going to end there. Up until the end of April, the 29th of April to be precise, you are still going to be able to purchase a Plex lifetime subscription for that $119. Now, let's get it out of the way straight away. I have no affiliate program, no commissions. I've got nothing that I get from Plex Media Server. I talk about Plex on the channel because you guys asked me about how well different NAS servers run Plex Media Server and different media, different 4K, 8K, whatever. So when I say this, know that I say this from the heart and with utmost sincerity. If you are using Plex, I don't care if there's only one or two users using it in your network or remotely, get a lifetime Plex pass before that 29th of April deadline. Again, it's going to go up double, but more precisely, the monthly and the annual costs are going to go up. And if your annual subscription runs out after the 29th of April on auto renewal, you will pay the new price. Now, the new price per month is $6.99 and the annual new price is $69.99. So at that point, you are earning close to 2 years of lifetime price parity there. So why on earth would you still go for a lifetime if, you know, you're happy with what you got so far? And this brings me to the second big change that was announced in that newsletter from Plex alongside the price increase. And that is that remote access is no longer going to be made available via the free tier of Plex. Now, what does that mean? Well, installing Plex Media Server is still free. And if you want to access your media locally to local client devices, it is still included in the free tier of Plex Media Server. However, if you want to remotely access your NAS via Plex, so you've got your NAS perhaps in the UK and you're using a mobile device, I don't know, in Shenzhen, China, but we'll talk about that in another video. If you want to do that, you're going to need to use remote access relay from Plex's own service to bounce the authentication. Now, they are moving that into a paid service tier. That means if you do not have a Plex pass, monthly, yearly, or lifetime, you are not going to have that service. Now, there is a caveat. They are adding on a monthly or annual remote access only service you can add. If you only want that feature, it's quite affordable. It's $199 a month or $19.99 a year. And that's if you want to continue using the free platform, but also want to have those remote access services, you're still going to need to pay for them. And again, I know there are going to be users that aren't going to be a big fan of this, that may have been riding for Plex free for many, many years. I'd say, well done, you've been enjoying updates. And of all the things that I think Plex could have moved into the paid tier, out of the free tier, I'm glad it's this, frankly, and not firmware updates, not feature updates. I'm glad this is what they've moved over. Now, of course, when you get a Plex lifetime subscription or you get a Plex pass, effectively, you do get a bunch of bells and whistles with streaming platforms and other integrations. And again, some of you might use those. For me, I barely use any of them, and I think you barely use any of them too at home. But ultimately, having that remote access, having hardware transcoding so conveniently provided to you, these are the reasons you would go for a Plex Pass, to maintain that platform, because say what you will about Jellyfin, say what you will about MB, and they are good platforms, they still are not as cohesive, a smooth an experience for most users as Plex is. And the only way Plex is going to continue to survive is with funding changes. And I think this is probably the best way to do it. Now, aside from those, there were a couple of other things in the newsletter. Number one, there was changes to the terms and condition and privacy notice about what data they use and how they use it. But there was another one with regards to the mobile applications. We talked about it in previous videos, but there are a number of the mobile client and desktop client applications and, media player applications to run Plex on your system that require a one-off fee or a Plex Pass in order to use them. Well, Plex has now removed any of the payment barriers to those client applications. So that means if you do want to stick with the free tier and you're only going to be accessing local, you actually kind of gain here, because you're no longer having to pay one-off fees for those mobile apps. You get the mobile app, and as long as you're going to use local network only, not remote access, you can still use the free tier. But it's really up to you which one you go for. Personally, as the thumbnail of this video likely suggests, and I've said several times, to me, this is a no-brainer. Speak to anyone that's had a Plex Pass for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and they'll tell you that the money they paid was worth it. And at $119, I can't see them grandfathering things anytime soon, but what I can see is that $250 becoming the standard for the next decade. So if you think you're going to jump on board, why wait? Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to telling you guys more about just why the hell I am here very, very soon. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.